Welcome back, everybody, to the next dollar store dollar bin video discussions. Today we're going to be talking about Fallout. Now, I didn't go and do the next Adventure Files, but I think I might do that one next. But I just had the itch to talk about this one. I watched this one the other day, and it was actually very surprising. It was a lot better than Blue Call, I can tell you that much for sure. And I think I think usually the cover can give it away if a film is going to be good or not when it comes from these dollar bins. When they are devoid of any and all detail on the disc cover, like you saw with Blue Call. Like, there's no actor names, there's nothing but the title and the director's name. When it has something like that, you might be able to think, that film's probably not going to be as good. But then when you have a film like this, when it tells you who is in the film, up here, some of the big names, some of these little thingamajiggies right here, a little lingo, whatever, right there. This usually gives it away that this is a little bit more competently made. And I did a little bit of cheating with this. I actually looked up some history behind this film before I decided to talk about it. Because I was very surprised with this film, with how nice it was compared to Blue Call and some of these other dollar store movies that I've seen. And apparently this was one of those films that released in theaters, most of them drive-ins, I think, during the height of the pandemic of the Budweiser Cold. So the Budweiser Cold had a bit of a problem with the world, and everybody decided to shut down. We know all about that. Some people call it the Heineken flu, other people call it the Extra C, the blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna name it. You know the name. I'm just trying to make a stupid joke here. Basically, this is one of the few films that released in theaters, while all the other big AAA films decided to push back. They decided to wait until the theaters were 100% open. All of them were open so that they could maximize their box office profits. This was a very low-budget film, so of course they didn't need to maximize their profits. They just needed to release it to make their money back. They didn't spend too much. You could tell this is a lower-budget film. It's a found-footage film, just like the Paranormal Activity series, and Blair Witch, and the Almanac Project, and a couple other films that I've seen that are found footage that I can't remember at the moment. And the camera quality of the cameras that people were using to film was a lot better than Blue Call, that's for sure. I don't know what type of camera was used to film Blue Call, but it was pretty grainy. It was pretty it wasn't as clear, if that makes sense. Clear footage. I don't know if there was the difference between a digital camera and whatever, but this had a clearer picture, a much clearer picture. And the acting was a lot better in this as well. It didn't feel like people were awkwardly reading from a script or cue cards or things of that nature. These people felt like they were actually actors, especially the main character. I believe it'd be this guy here, or it might be this guy here. I don't know their actor names. And I'm usually terrible with remembering people's names in films, like what were their names and all that stuff. But at least in this film, one character's name gets called out enough times that I actually remembered what their name was. Christopher. And that's not the main character, though. But the main character is Drop the Mic Mike, a vlogger of the type of style of a YouTube vlogger during the early 2010s to late 2000s. That era of YouTube when it was a lot more refreshing for us older young people. I don't watch too many vloggers. I haven't watched vloggers at all, except for maybe Breaking New York City, which was the type of vlogs that RWJ would used to do. He used to be the king of YouTube in the earlier days, and he had a vlog channel. That was the only thing I ever watched, vlog-wise. And it's not like that. No, it's more like the research that I did. Somebody akin it to some dude named Shane Dawson. They say his style of vlogging, drop the Mike's style of vlogging is more in-your-face type of obnoxious like Shane Dawson used to be back in the day. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I've never seen a single one of his videos. But, this film is, the guy's got that persona from what these sources are telling me. And he was actually very entertaining. He was very entertaining. The in-your-face stuff, normally I would probably get very annoyed with it, but he doesn't keep that persona up the whole entire time. He goes through a change throughout the film, and he starts to become more and more likable. His best friend is named Christopher. They were childhood friends, and he's basically his cameraman. All part of the film team, the vlogging team. There's basically 4 people as part of the team. You got Drop the Mike, the vlogger guy who's always on camera. You got Chris, the guy who's the film camera guy. Then you got Nick. She's their editor. She edits the footage, usually live, sometimes not. She edits all of the footage from the cameras, and she edits it together to make a coherent madness piece. And she's usually locked in a room somewhere during the entire film working on that. So you don't really see too much of her. And the other character here is Danny. She's normally not part of this vlogging crew, but Mike picked her up because Chris didn't want to take part in this next spoopy, scoopy, scary, haunted hotel story. Christopher believes that ghosts are real, and Drop the Mike thinks that they are not real, but he likes to engage in the spoopiness for views. He's gonna get a sponsorship to make a lot of money. I don't know how much money. 50,000, 200,000, somewhere between 50,000 and 200,000. A lot of money. Not a lot of money when you think of it, but, a lot of money to a vlogger of under 50,000 subscribers. To that type of vlogger, that type of money is a lot of money to them. So, to get this sponsorship, he has to go to this hotel where a serial killer, whose name I can't remember, he's based off a real serial killer, whose name I also can't remember. And the hotel is based off a real hotel where a lot of this stuff happened, which name I also, I'm terrible with names. Have I told you that before? So, Mike tries to convince Chris to go with him to the hotel to film their spoopiness. Chris says, no, ghosts are real, I am spoopy scary. And so Mike is like, okay, let's go get Danny. Chris likes Danny, and if I get Danny to join me, maybe Chris will join me on this little adventure. So he does, he gets her, they go to the hotel for spoopy scary skeleton fun. And while they're there, a lot of mishmash shenanigans happen, and all sorts of things get progressively more and more spooky and spooky and spooky. And from this point, you realize it's one of those dime a dozen horror films, but it's still got that charm to it, especially the main character, Mr. Drop the Mike. He's got that charm about him that just makes you want to keep watching, even though this is a type of film you've seen 100 times before. You still want to watch it all the way to the end. It's excellent popcorn movie. And I am surprised at how well it did. But considering the time it came out, it's no surprise it did well. It's probably one of the only films that was showing at the time. So anybody who went to these handful of theaters that were showing this film, they put their money into it. I don't want to talk about the whole storyline about this film because I don't want to spoil it in case you guys want to watch it. You guy, I don't know how many handful of people watch these things. But I would recommend it I would definitely recommend it. Even if you hate found footage flicks, I've seen so many found footage flicks that I've been Stockholm syndromed to it, so it doesn't bother me as much anymore. I actually find charm to the whole found footage type of thing. It gives it a more personal type of rapport you have between the actors and the viewer. It's got that more personal, humane look to it. I don't know how else I can describe it. It's just decent type of thing to me that I like. Even though it's a dime a dozen, it's still so everybody was doing it since Paranormal Activity came out. Everybody started to do it, and this feels like one of those films that everybody started to do. But the uniqueness about this film is the time it came out and how well it surprisingly did compared to how well it might have done if all the other AAA films are also out. This might have been buried. Nobody would have talked about it ever. And they probably wouldn't have released it with these names and all that other stuff had it been released at any time other than when it was released. But I'd like to think that at least somebody would have liked it, even if it was released during the height of the AAA theater bust before March of 2020. March of 2020. Before March of 2020. That's when everything hit the fan. Before that time period, if this released in like January or something, it would have. I mean, I don't think anybody would be surprised if it released in January, but it didn't. It didn't release in January. It's surprising. I know. I don't know what the horns are for. This is a misleading cover. Here, you don't really see anybody with the tape over their mouths. You don't see anybody grow horns on their head. This is a very misleading cover. Okay, and on the back here, this is also kind of misleading. You don't see this dude anywhere. I guess you kind of do see this. It's like a camera footage of the killer doing his killing spree stuff, but that's very vaguely mentioned throughout this film. Most of the film is about the vlogger, and you don't really see too much about that. But here, at least, we get a screenshot of our three characters here. That's our drop the mic, Mike's back of his head. That's Christopher's side of his head. Well, he's freaking out about something, and that's the girl that he likes, Danny, who's holding him, trying to console him about something spooky that just happened. Then there's Nick, who's in another hotel room editing footage and going crazy, as usual for an editor. There's not too much that this cover can give away. Heck, even the back here doesn't give too much away. This is one of those films that you have to watch. You can't just look at a cover and think that this is going to get you into. This is one of those clickbait type of covers. It's a clickbait cover because you think, oh, cool, there's a spooky little double thingamajiggy, and there's that, oh, I want to grab it. And it did work. It did work. This is one of those clickbait type of film cases. They do that all the time for these lower budget films. They try to grab you in, like the Blue Call DVD case that I showed you the other day. That actually looked really nice. It looked really nice, had a really good color scheme about it. It just looked like an eye-grabbing case. And that's the type of case that this is. This is an eye-grabber. When you look at this film, what do you think? What do you think? The devil has your soul. What devil? There's no devil in this. There's something about a spoopy ritual, but in the film it's briefly mentioned, and that's about it. You have no idea what the devil thing is about. At least I had no idea about it. Would I watch this again? I'd probably watch it again. I'd probably watch it a third time, just to understand more about this film. I don't have anything else I want to talk to about this film. Go watch it. Go grab it from your dollar store for $1. Don't spend $5 on it. Just spend $1 on it. It's a $1 movie, and it's a damn good one for $1. And remember, be imaginative. So how do you like the new picture in camera? The camera's not new, it's newer. 720p, man. Compared to the 240 the other one was showing you, 720 is like night and day, man. You could see the fingers in the hands. It's not as blurry. You actually get to hear my voice. It's a little bit crackly now, but that's just the mic. It's a little bit better than the other mic, though. And the lighting is getting a little bit better. We're getting a little bit better every single step we take. It's just a little bit better. I'll see you again on the next one. It might be an adventure files. It might not be. And who knows when the next upload's going to come. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next month. You never know. So stay tuned.